Hi guys, welcome to the Far Side of Normal. My name is Stacy Farr, the creator and your host. This week I want to talk about a subject that is personal to me and I dare say a lot of people. And I've had this for a couple years, but I think now is a great time to talk about it. It is being a different kind of beautiful. Let's just jump into it. Recently, I saw a TikTok video, and it was a really pretty young black girl. She was, I think, 22, and she got in the car and surprised her two older brothers. They were significantly older, and she surprised them by showing that she had gotten lip fillers or lip implants, whichever one you want to call them. It hurt my heart. Because she was very, very pretty. She didn't have to do a lot. She was naturally beautiful. She had gorgeous skin. She was very young. 22 is young. You're still developing. But she'd had these lip fillers, and let's just say her brother's reactions were not what I dare say she was hoping they would be or thinking they would be. They were appalled. And honestly, it just kind of went downhill. The video is probably 2 minutes, 15 seconds, but her older brother was so distressed and he exclaimed, "Why would you do this? You were so beautiful before, and who told you needed these? And your lips were perfectly fine, and now you look sick, like you look like you have a disease." And he just kind of went off on a tangent. And the other brother literally had to get out of the car. And you see him around the back, kind of leaning over the hood. And it made me really sad because I realized 22 years old and you were absolutely beautiful. Yet you thought you had to have lip fillers or lip implants to look a certain way. And there is another video, another young girl, again, naturally beautiful, no enhancements needed. She was going to, I guess, audition to be a model. And one of the judges, yep, I'll leave it at that, drug her because you come in here without your lashes done and your nails done and a BBL. And the girl was saying, "It's a open casting call. I didn't think I needed all that." Honey, you look like this, that, and the other. And he just picked her apart. And it made me, again, one, it kind of made me mad. But two, it hurt my heart because we've become a society. Yep, I'm always going to keep it 100% on this video, in this podcast. We've become a society that is so used to plastic size perfection that we don't even know what real looks like anymore or what true beauty is. This podcast is going to be on Adkob, a different kind of beautiful. And I'm going to break down some of the stereotypes of what are perceived as beautiful. And then I'm going to show you what true beauty is, in my humble opinion. Let's jump in it. I didn't look up the definition of beautiful because I think for each person, it's different. And they have that saying, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What I've been beholding lately, to me, is not beauty. It's characters of beauty, or it's a very poor imitation of beauty. I grew up in the 70s and the 80s. I'm going to date myself. And in the 70s, I remember my mom had a really big afro and it was glorious. And my aunt was built like a brick house. That's when that song Brick House came out. That was the standard of beauty. You had the big afros, you had the, brick house bodies. You didn't have on a ton of makeup. You didn't have the eyelashes and the lip implant. You enhance your natural beauty with makeup if you wanted to, or hair. And even for guys, the aesthetic for what was considered handsome is not anywhere, I would say, near what is perceived as handsome now or fit or whatever. And I remember thinking when I was little, I want to be like my mom. And she had these wigs. So me and my sister would play dress up. We would put on these wigs and wear these stacked platforms and heels and thought we were the bee's knees. You couldn't tell us anything. But that was what beauty was back in the day. You roll into the 80s and it was all about big hair and tons of makeup and lots of accessories and shoulder pads, and it was kind of garish. And honestly, and it was more about excess. I remember the shows Dynasty and Dallas and all those nighttime soap operas where more was more and more was better. And then you kind of rolled into the 90s and it was more, honestly, it looked kind of homeless. It was the grunge look where you didn't look like you showered and you looked kind of haphazard put together, but that was a cool look. And then the early 2000s were, and we're bringing it back, but that's a whole nother story, were a different aesthetic. And you rolled into the late 2000s and then out of nowhere, it seems, there was this boom of fake. And I don't know how else to explain it. You had breast implants and lip implants and Botox came out and it was the new greatest and latest thing. And then next thing you know, you had these BBLs and sculpting and liposuction and all of these tools to create the perfect beauty, if you will. And I remember a meme. It's kind of mean, but the puppet that was on the Muppets, she was a girl and she had the full lips and she had the long eyelashes and she had the straight blonde hair and she was kind of a hippie. Someone was saying the Muppets tried to tell us, saying that girls look like this now. And I thought, dang it, man. It's true. And it's funny, but it's sad at the same time. I miss natural. I miss simple. I miss the girl next door aesthetics. You know what I mean? And we're going to even chew on that part. I remember growing up, and every week we would have to go to the beauty shop, get our hair shampooed by the little old lady, and they were ruthless. And then our hair had to get straightened. It had to get detangled. It had to get pressed out. And oh my gosh, it was this whole process. And it took many, many hours. And by the time we got home on Saturday afternoon, all we could do is fall asleep because we were exhausted from this whole process of straightening your hair to be Eurocentric beauty, because you didn't want to have a kink, you didn't want to have a curl, you didn't want to have a nap. That was not a good look. Straight was where it was at. And all the money and all the time and all the hullabaloo spent on that aesthetic, to come and find out now that relaxers were killing us. Literally, beauty was killing us. And I even think about the breast implants versus the ones they had now and how they would burst and leak and people were getting these autoimmune diseases and literally getting poisoned by their beauty. And I thought, at what cost is beauty? But not just for women. You have men now getting, plugs for their hair, and they're wearing toupees, and they're getting pec implants and calf implants, and they're getting liposuction and sculpted to have six packs, and getting muscles for their arms and their shoulders. And that industry makes ungodly amounts of money and preys on people's insecurities, and beauty is a moving target. I think that's the thing that's frustrating, is it's always changing. First it was pencil thin eyebrows, and then it was really full and natural looking eyebrows, and then it was really sculpted eyebrows, and then it was back to thin eyebrows, and then it was full lips, and now it was thin lips, and now it's hair and cheek, and now it's curvy, and now it's Coke bottle shape, and now it's hourglass, and now it's waif, and now it's hair and cheek. It's all of these moving pieces to what is considered beautiful. But here's where I want to maybe challenge it. Eurocentric is not the only beauty, and it's not the beauty standard. It's kind of falling out of favor, so to speak. And I've watched videos on the wars they have literally on TikTok about aesthetics now. And I thought, how fascinating. To keep yourself as the beauty standard, and it's gotten kind of cutthroat and ruthless. There's the mob aesthetic, there's the California girl aesthetic, there's the heroin chick aesthetic, and I think it's exhausting. And quite frankly, I honestly don't feel like being bothered. I've been wrestling and struggling with what I look like my entire life. Ever since I can remember being 5 years old and going to the corner store, the mom and pop store, and the little girl who was so beautiful at the time, she was the daughter of the owner. She had black long hair and pretty blue eyes, and she was so beautiful to me. And I just thought one day I'm going to be beautiful like her. And we had to get candy for our kindergarten, some party or activity or another. So I put all my candy up there, and I was so happy that we were able to afford it because we grew up really poor. And she was like, "Sugar," she had this accent, "what are you doing with all this? You're going to look like Petunia Pig. You shouldn't do that." And, "Well, I don't know if that's a good idea, sweetie, and you're kind of chubby now." And I thought, crushed my entire world. To this day, I still remember that. And I still remember her, and it broke something in me. Because I think before then, I kind of knew I looked different than my siblings and my cousins. But I didn't think it was a big deal until that moment. And then I started realizing the comments and the suggestions and the questioning my mom and how I didn't look like the others, and my clothes didn't fit quite as well, and my skin tone was a little bit different, and my hair was kinkier, and all these things. And this is at 5. I became aware that one of these things is not like the other, and the other is not a good thing. And that's been a struggle I have battled my entire life. Young, tween, teen, high school, young adult, mature adult. It's been a constant battle. And then I realized I took a photography class. And through photography class and even art class and humanities class, believe it or not, I started seeing things in a different light. What was beautiful to me before was still beautiful, but not the beauty. I started seeing a different kind of beautiful. Trees that are barren, that have no leaves, and that are stark, may look harsh and garish, but they can be absolutely beautiful. And as beautiful as trees in full bloom, they're a different kind of beautiful. Roses are gorgeous, but so is bamboo. It's just a different kind of beautiful. We are on this quest for the fountain of youth and to be eternally young. And women have it worse than men. I've been seeing some of these threads on actors and actresses and where are they at now versus where they were before. And of course, these are like 20 and 30 years ago. And it's talking about their age progression. And the biggest comment that I see is, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even recognize them." And one person summed it up. They said it's aging, and they decided to age naturally and gracefully. Let them have it. And they were still absolutely beautiful. They just weren't 20-year-old dewy beautiful. They were maybe 50 or 60-year-old handsome or distinguished beautiful. You know what I mean? And instead of tearing them down for deciding to age gracefully, how about be grateful that people still want to be natural? I love Helen Mirren. I have the biggest crush on her. She's like my girl crush. Her and Angela Bassett. If I could be half as dope as them when I get older, let's get it. Beautiful. She rocked a bikini. What? Let's go. She ages beautifully. I love her wrinkles and her white hair. Angela Bassett doesn't have any wrinkles or any fat, but still, she's dope, whatever. But I love the thought of laugh lines have character. They're beautiful to me. It means that you've laughed your way through life. We have those little forehead wrinkles and those crow's feet in the corner of your eyes because you've laughed so much, or the indents. It means you have character to your face. It's not flawless. It's not cold. It's not aesthetically dull. You have character. I love that. I love interesting noses and full lips, and maybe teeth are a little bit not perfect. Mine are not perfect. Hollywood smiles are great, but a little bit of crooked is not a bad thing. It's a different kind of beautiful. I've been reading my Bible since forever, but I love how God describes beautiful. It's definitely not what we think of. He even says, don't consider them because I've rejected them. No, don't consider their height or their appearance. It's the heart that he looks at. The world looks at the outward appearance. The Lord looks at the heart. He was talking to the prophet when he was going to Jesse to look at all his sons to make one of them king, which inevitably was David, who was literally the runt of the family and the least in the house. And he became king. But it's because of his heart. And I think about some of the scriptures that talk about that. In 1 Peter 3:4, it tells women basically, don't dress up your hair and put on all this jewelry and all these things. Your beauty comes from within. It's from a gentle and quiet spirit. And in Colossians 3:12 through 14, it's kind of the similar concept. Don't worry about wearing all these ornate clothes and all this hullabaloo. Like, clothe yourself, like put on clothing that is compassion and kindness and humility and gentleness and patience. Wear those things and that will make you beautiful. And years ago, I think it was early 2000s, I love Jesse McCartney, but there was this song, Beautiful Soul. And his verse was, I don't want another pretty face. I don't want another love to grow cold. Something about this. I want you in your beautiful soul. And I always think about that song and what would it look like if we as a culture or a society or a civilization could look at people's souls, and that's what made you beautiful. Compassion made you beautiful. Kindness made you gorgeous. Humility made you desirable. Patience made you super attractive. What would that look like? How would people act differently? A beautiful soul does make you absolutely gorgeous. I used to work with kids. It was called this Kids Night Out. And there was a cute little old man. If he was 80 on a good day, I'd be surprised. But he had this snow on the roof, this head full of white hair, and he had these twinkling blue eyes, and he always had a smile, and you could tell he enjoyed life. And he was so fun, and the kids loved him. And I just thought he was so handsome. With his wink and grin smile, face full of wrinkles, and he had the best laugh. And I thought, you handsome sir, you. Yeah. I've seen some of the most beautiful people by the world's standards. In college, I had roommates that were models and strippers. You gotta pay what you can, get it how you can. In college, this is before I was a Christian. But in the world's eyes, they would probably be the epitome of beauty. And some were absolutely beautiful because they were just the sweetest people. And others, when you got to know their personality, you thought, ooh. It was that surface beauty. Because your looks is everything you had going for you and nothing else. And it made them less desirable or attractive. I remember One time, this is full disclosure, we went to, I think, the bar or club or whatever. And one of my roommates brought a guy home. And the next morning, he snuck out. And I'm sitting there eating cereal because I don't care. It's not that kind of party with me. But I remember he was distraught because one of her eyelashes had come off. It was on the pillow. He thought it was a spider and almost had a conniption. And when she went to bed, she looked one way, but when she woke up, one of these things was not like the other. And it always makes me laugh. I also remember it was about the time, because I went to college in the 90s, where Victoria's Secret came out with these push-up bras. And one of my guy friends was so offended because he's like, that's false advertising. And I said, that's what you get for being vain. And he was like, we don't have false advertising like that. Not it. But it always made me laugh because I thought, well, serve you right. If you're going to be vain, I can't help you. And he was so offended by the push-up bra, which is now a staple, I guess, in women's wardrobes, whatever. But I think about that and I laugh because I want to be a different kind of beautiful. I want to be beautiful because I'm kind, and thought pretty because I'm generous, or thought lovely because I have a gorgeous heart. Do I wish some days that I was the traditional beauty? Yes, because there is a pretty privilege. We can say that it's not, just like we can say that it's not a privilege to be non-ethnic, and we both are. We all know that's not true. There's a pretty privilege. There's a handsome privilege. But I wish we could look at people and see. When I became a disciple or a Christian of God, I started seeing people different. And it's interesting to me that the closer I try to walk with God and imitate him, the more I see beauty in things that are not necessarily deemed beautiful. And it's honestly been one of the things that I pray. Help me to see people through your eyes is what I always pray. And I've been able to do that. And recently I had to catch myself because I lost that look. And I saw people as not beautiful. And I want to get back that. I want to look at people and think, wow, they're lovely. And I also want to tell people more. In this world of competition and what you have to look like and how you have to act and what you're supposed to wear and what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to speak and the color of your skin and all of these things, a little bit of encouragement goes a long way. I love compliments and I want to give them more because I want to notice more people that are beautiful. And it's going to be traditional beauty, sure. Who doesn't look at Henry Cavill and think stars and garters? God showed off that day. Who doesn't look at Jensen Ackles and think, my word. But I also want to see the homeless guy at the shelter and think, man, you're handsome. I want to see the cute little old lady, face full of wrinkles, eyes sparkling, and think she is lovely. And tell people that. A different kind of beautiful. Not to leave men out. I think they have it harder now with all of these movies coming out with these absolutely perfect specimens in society's eyes. You know, I remember when Captain America came out, and then you had Thor, and then you had the Avengers, and all these superhero movies, and guys were married to the gym. And then I remember movies where guys had dad bods and people were despairing, I don't have a six-pack in. I think about the time me and a friend went bike shopping. And this bike guy was coming out and helping us. And We said something and he was like, no, I have a dad bod. I'm like, no, you're just retrosexual. And he hugged me and kissed me on the cheek because I encouraged his soul. Because you didn't have the six packs back in the day. I think of the Superman TV show from back in the day. That wasn't Chris Hemsworth. It was still Superman. It wasn't Henry Cavill. It was still Superman, but it was more average. It was more attainable. It was more traditional, a real body. There's a very small percent that are perfection, in my humble opinion. But perfection is kind of boring. You know what I mean? I love quirkiness. I know that some people hate it, but I love character. A strong nose, maybe a asymmetrical face. I've loved these last several years rocking my natural hair. And I remember before I would not be caught dead, not a word of lie. Wearing natural hair, are you kidding me? And then having it short or bald, that was blasphemy because women in hair equal beauty. But now, not so much. We were at church today and there was so many different hair textures and no hair and hairstyles, and all had made my heart sing to see us in our natural state of beauty. And I loved it. I miss not having to be made up or done up or look the part. I just want to enjoy the skin I'm in. And it's a constant battle. The world is loud. I want to let what my God says about me be louder. I want to let what I see in others and in nature be louder than the naysayers or the critics or the have tos, must do's, and what you should look like. The older I get, the more I realize that I am not a glamorous person. I will not spend 3 hours getting ready. I will not kill myself to lose weight to fit into what is considered beauty. I want to enjoy life. Do I want to lose weight? 1000%. Do I want my clothes to fit better? Absolutely. But I want to lose weight so that I can move without being in pain, that I can walk and do activities and not be winded. I want my clothes to fit better because every girl wants to be pretty. I'm not ever going to be the typical beauty, and I've come to terms with that. But I can be absolutely lovely with my character. I can be gorgeous with my personality. I can be stunning with my heart. And if you leave this podcast with anything today, just know that it's okay to be a different kind of beautiful. Adkob is what I call it. Adkob, a different kind of beautiful. I am not satin, lace, or silk. I am bamboo, and that's okay. I am a different kind of beautiful, and that's okay. If you're a different kind of beautiful, that's okay too. I adore redheads, and I know that they are just, sometimes their hair is their bane of their existence. I love redheads. I love bald. I think it is so attractive, and it takes such confidence to clean up like a clean plate on top is everything. I know for men it's hard. I think it's handsome. Be okay with being a different kind of beautiful. I love gray hair, and salt and pepper hair is so distinguished. And I know with this battle to have the eternal fountain of youth, it's not considered. Well, for men, maybe more so than women, but embrace what makes you beautiful and unique and different. Perfection is boring, in my humble opinion. Have nappy hair, have kinky hair, have a bald head, have ginger hair, have a little more weight, maybe love handles. It's more to love. Be a different kind of beautiful. Remember that Jesse McCarthy song, Be a Beautiful Soul. That's what we need in this world. That's true beauty, a beautiful soul. Thank you for watching this Far Side of Normal podcast. I hope that this week you can go out and about and see things that are a different kind of beautiful and embrace it. Until next time, goodbye.